message to America in these days. The unity of both the micros and the macros, as seen in the divine logos, reveals its influence upon that of natural law, both of which set the foundation stones for the checks and balance system. That system of systems and people of peoples is in fact self-evident in nature itself. For out of many, there be one working in harmony and accountability. It's this concept that is the genius of the system of government we have. Though imperfect, it is effective when all components of the checks and balances are working as designed and bolstered by a literate, informed, and actively participating citizenry. Here is where the complacency and ignorance of civil duty has allowed corruption to grow unabated in our system. And when that occurs, it always produces confusion, division, paranoia, and destructive consequences. These two serve as a balancing mechanism to wake up the citizenry to their own complacency and their ignorance, and move them towards action to restore and protect the freedoms of the Constitution and the liberty thereof, that they may live in domestic peace, prosperity, and relative happiness. These freedoms are the foundations of liberty. They are not privileges granted by the government, but are freedoms granted to all people for the well-being of the people, given freely by providence and general grace. They are rooted in natural law and the divine logos, seen in the perfect unity of truth, love, justice, mercy, humility, and courage. Providence is God's overarching and sovereign truth, reigning supreme above all things, just as the sun gives warmth and visible light to all the earth. Those truths are self-evident, meaning they are obvious and enduring throughout all ages for all generations, regardless of the zeitgeist working against it. Those ignorant of these things in our society are co-opted by the very zeitgeist, which seeks to take their freedoms away through machinations of various kinds in order to establish tyranny over them. There is the irony. Personal and civic responsibility is a foundation stone for liberty. A sense of entitlement and selfishness born out of the zeitgeist are the poison to our liberty, and seeks to erode the checks and balances which ensures a properly functioning government by and for the people by concentrating power in all its various forms and the unprincipled hands of the few who seek to usurp the liberty of the people in order to enslave them to their evil and unjust selfish ambitions, be them of the domestic or foreign variety. People are free to exercise these freedoms or not, but they are not free to take them away from others or cede them to a government which departs from the reason these freedoms were delineated in the Constitution in the first place. People are free to exercise their rights, but not in the absence of taking personal responsibility. They are not free to self-justify claims of their own rights apart from truth and love, nor crush the rights of those who do not adhere to the necessary foundations for freedom itself. Nor crush the rights of those who do adhere to the necessary foundations for freedom itself. To do so is lawlessness presenting itself in false light, whose corrosive effects upon the broader community spreads like a deadly pathogen to the well-being and liberties of all. Those who wish to remake America to match their darkened personal preferences and corruptive proclivities have long sought to uproot the foundation which have allowed for our people in this nation to have relative freedom and liberty. It should not come as a shock that those who wish to do this are most often those who have profited the most from the goodness, the bounty of it, and then use their wealth and power to manipulate and corrupt the entirety of the whole. They speak to the lesser angels of the citizenry and seek to co-opt their ignorance, selfishness, and fear in order to use them as proxies towards their own destruction and that of those who stand in opposition against them. The darkness which blinds such unprincipled souls is found in the zeitgeist of rebellion, which deceives individuals into self-will run riotous. It is against this which the Spirit of truth provides a check and balance as an act of love, that they might come to their senses and see the error of their ways and be freed from the personal tyranny of deception, even the chains of that which distorts and destroys them. For the fruit of iniquity is born from the serpent's seed of temptation, ensnarement, and destruction, which wars against the very freedoms and liberties of both people and nations. We, as a nation, have fallen prey to our slumber-ridden complacency, complicity with corruption, and selfishness. We have for too long ceded ourselves and our society to the weeds of pride, greed, avarice, and the hubris which they came and birthed. It is time to confront what we have become as a nation. It is time to repent individually and collectively as a nation for our falling away from all that is good and true. It is time to confront the darkness in the light of truth and love, that justice and mercy might be restored and prevail in our land. Should we not do so, America, we will continue to suffer ever greater consequences. America, you must choose. You must choose between the terminal corruption and lawlessness, or the rod of the law and the staff of grace. America, you must choose. No one said this would be easy and devoid of pain and hardship. However, the alternative is fraught with even more of it, lest we do not change our downward trajectory. I ask you to consider this. Come to your senses, that we may overcome our present woes in the light of truth and love. May it be so. Grace and peace to you. May God bless you all, and may God bless the United States of America. For as it is for people, so too it is for nations.